In this video, I'd like to talk about the math question of the day for March 4th, 2023. And with this problem, we need to solve the formula for the specified variable. We have that a is equal to p plus p times by rt, and we need to solve this for p. So to answer a question like this, you do need to have a solid understanding of algebra, maybe even algebra 2. So at this point, go ahead and pause the video, see if you can work through this on your own, and when you're ready, we can go through this together. Now, assuming that you have attempted this, we can start going through it together. And if you do have suggestions for future questions of the day, feel free to leave those as a comment. Now, I will start by rewriting our formula here, but you might notice that this formula here is the formula for simple interest. It's not the formula that, let's say, a bank would use when calculating a loan and how much you would have to pay back. But let's say you're borrowing money from a friend, then you might use the simple interest formula. It's not used that often, but it is essentially the foundation from where the compound interest formula comes from, and that formula is what is actually used in modern finance. But it is good to know that this is the simple interest formula. P is for principal, R is the interest rate, and T is the time that you're borrowing the money. And with simple interest, the interest rate is calculated off what you originally borrow. That interest rate doesn't increase as time goes on like it would with compound interest. So with that in mind, we can solve this problem by isolating this variable P here. And to do that, we need to recognize that we have two different terms with P in it. So if we can factor out P, then we can turn this into multiplication, and we can use division to cancel out that factor multiplied by P. So let's factor P out from both of these terms. This would be left with a 1, and here we'd be left with R times by T. And of course, you can check this by redistributing here and showing that it's equal to the original formula. And since we're solving for P, now we have P multiplied by something, and if it helps, you can reduce this to numbers if the variables are confusing. Let's say we have 5 is equal to P times by 10. We can imagine that this, if we knew what R and T are, then we could plug those in, and this would actually just be a number. And to cancel out this multiplication by whatever number this is, we use division, so that we can simplify everything and find P by itself. But in our case, this is a more complicated expression, so we have to divide by the entire expression. That's 1 plus RT. We'll do it on both sides of the equation. And on the right-hand side, we have something divided by itself, just like here, and those will cancel. So that we just get P on the right-hand side, and on the left, we get A over 1 plus RT. So this right here should be our final answer. Now, one way to check this, since this could be a little bit tricky to check, is to make up numbers for all of these such that it works. And if those numbers also make sense in this formula, then you know that you didn't change the formula along the way. So let's make things simple. Let's say P is equal to 1, R can be 0.5, and T can be 10. So if we plug all of that in, we get 1 plus 1 times by 0.5 times by 10. So 10 multiplied by 0.5, that is just 5. So A would be 6. So now if we plug in R, T, and A into the left here, we should get a p-value of 1. So we get that 6 divided by 1 plus R times by T, that's 5. This should equal 1, but we have 6 over 6, which is 1. So when we made up these numbers, really just need to make up 3 of them, and then you can find what A is. And after we plugged it into our new formula, where we solved it for P, we still get the same value. So that helps us feel confident that this formula is indeed correct and that we didn't change it while manipulating it algebraically. So if you made a mistake, then that mistake would show when plugging in these random values.